Are you muted? I can't hear you, dude.
Did I mute myself? Man,
Yes, you did. Okay, good.
dude, you
I
know,
was like, let's not have this error right now.
it's actually hilarious. I don't know if you saw me on the backstage, but it kept saying my camera kept turning off. It's like something's happening, and I was like, "Oh, please, not right now." So,
Exactly.
GM,
Gee,
Johnny, man, how are you? How you
I'm
doing,
great.
man?
I'm
How's
great,
things
man.
going out there?
Thanks for having me on. It's pretty snowy here actually, so I'm kind of jealous here looking at your background. But things have been doing great, man. Can't complain.
Hey, man, if you want to come down to South America, like at
Yeah,
any time, let me know.
sounds good. Yeah, I'll take you up on that. Yeah, we're actually going to Abu Dhabi's going to be nice for Breakpoint. It'll be a nice break from the snow.
Oh, dude, it's so funny, man. I was just yesterday, literally last night, I was like, I got to start figuring out like what I'm gonna take because what's the weather gonna be like, right? It's
I
like,
know.
do I have to wear like long sleeve shirts because the sun is so strong? Like, do
Right.
you wear like short? Oh man, like
Yeah,
so
yeah,
many.
yeah. Performance gear because you don't want to sweat too much, right? It's like I got you. I got you.
Oh yeah, like dude. And then the best part about it is like I went to make sure I checked with Emirates and I was like, how many bags can I carry? Like how many bags can I bring? Because I might be one of those that needs to like pack like more than I need to.
God, I gotta pack like 100 t-shirts. I'm the one that's bringing all the merch, all the t-shirts. So yeah, I'll have some fun with luggage for sure.
Oh man, I could tell you a bunch of horror stories of me doing it, but
Oh yeah,
at
okay.
the end of the day, like I think from now on I will only like have it locally be made because
Yeah,
man, going through like customs and everything with like six large suitcases of hundreds of t-shirts and hoodies, and they're
I
like,
know.
"What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm going to a conference and I want to give them out," and they're like, "Yeah, are you
Don't
selling?"
say that. I don't want to be stuck too long in customs. But it's funny you mentioned that. We actually went to China at one point, and I know we're going off topic, but I used to work in VR, and at a certain point, we had to demo our VR activation in China, and we had to carry these huge ass suitcases. Like I'm not suitcases, like these freaking like this big. And going to China it was crazier. So it took us at least 2 hours to get through customs, just because it was special tech. They didn't know what it was. Nobody knew what VR was. So yeah, it was kind of crazy. Anyway,
Dude, yeah, man. I, I truly shout out any Web3 project, especially like Play Solana team out there that
mm,
has created a product and is shipping it worldwide. Because man, I don't think people understand how hard that is to ship things worldwide, let
right?
alone like us trying to do things like this at conferences where we're like, yeah, we just want to give it away to the community, and it's like,
Exactly.
oh
Yeah.
man. But
No,
Johnny,
we got some good stats. Yeah, let's dive into that.
Johnny, man, like Aurory, you guys been cooking. The new title, new name, the catch to really kind of like Amico Legends and like the way that like it's really kind of very much open. I really like have been kind of tracking a lot of the marketing, and it's like, hey man, how do we always break into Web two is always my biggest thing. Like, how do we discover Web two users? How do we
Mm,
find like where do we need to live, right? And I think you're the best person for this, right? Since you have that experience from working with all the Web two giants. But like I think that the title now is now helping really a lot of like it be more warm, right? And I think I've seen a lot of the gameplay and the way that it's being told, and some of your creators coming on stream and on the gaming account right now and streaming, and I've been like, man, like really, really hyped for what's coming because if this is just the start, I think that man, what you guys are going to be cooking is something that's really, really, truly exciting for the Web3 space.
it's I'm super excited. The team is super excited. We've been specifically really amped up following the we hired a special firm, a specialized firm in research, audience research, player research, motivation, highly scientific, obviously, but these are the kind of steps that you need to take for any game that can stand on its own. That's you have to go through the steps in this research phase to really understand like what what makes player return, what is fun, what is less fun, so that we can cater our game to you guys. Like the player first games is something that has started to appear more and more in Web3. But we've always been preaching that's been our ethos, but it takes a long time to get there, obviously, because there's a lot at play. But company we hired, I mean, we did some focus groups, we did some play tests. Hundreds of players came in, gave us some feedback, super interesting feedback. Very objective, and we've been dissecting it for the past weeks. Try to break it down and make sure that our product offering at the end of the day really fits with and resonates with what they're looking for. And I can tell you, like we were talking earlier about different parts of the world and how shipping game worldwide is like super challenging. It is because you need to understand each demographics and what they like and what they don't like. And I'll give you an example. In the report, the Blitz 3-step kind of battle system that we have, the turn-based combat, some countries absolutely love it. Brazil was like super high up. But then some other countries like Japan and Korea, they were like, it feels too sluggish. It feels too slow for us. We know, we don't know. It would be cool to kind of maybe lean in a bit more on the storytelling side, on the overall the creatures, the world that you guys are building. But Brazil were like all about combat, all about PvP, all about like the blitz competitive side. But you need to know these things in order to really take an informed decision. It doesn't mean that you'll try to cater to everybody, right? Because we have a DNA, we have kind of a vision of what we want to accomplish. So we can't please everybody. We can't be everything all at once. Otherwise, that makes the game so diluted that you're not pleasing anybody at the end of the day. So we need to be careful of that. But at the same time, it's super interesting the different market dynamics that come from having done that due diligence and the research, because it beats just throwing stuff at the wall and see what sticks and then doubling down on that. And then, but how long will that last, right? We're here to kind of build the game up so that it lasts years and years, and players can invest their time and be kind of brought into the world that we're building. But yeah, it's a huge undertaking, and it's something that we're starting, though I'm happy that we're seeing a lot more or I would say complete games or complete visions of what games can be. But it's something that we've always been preaching. Also, the fact that blockchain is just a tool. It's always been just a tool. It's never been all about the blockchain. It's been about game first, players first. Blockchain is just a tech that we talked about VR earlier. VR is just a tech as well. So blockchain for us, we're just leveraging it to be able to generate the player-driven economies that we've all been kind of hoping for that Web3 and blockchain would create. So for us, we're really doubling down, making sure that the player economy is actually super dynamic, but we need players for that. We're not going to create that volume in a marketplace just by sticking with the Web3 players, because we've seen it. The majority are mostly extractors looking for the next project to kind of trade into. Whereas here, we're really more looking for the players that want to start a journey of what we've built and live through that journey. And we're really been taking a hard look at the experience to make sure that it can really create some emotions and create really a deep, I wouldn't say a deep storyline, but an interesting kind of player driven experience that fits with the overall narrative that we're building. So in a nutshell, that's what you need though to attract the traditional crowd, because they've seen games come and go. They can play whatever they want. They can play Fortnite. I mean, Arc Raiders is just dominating the charts now. It's really hard to not see Arc Raiders in any of my feeds. So how do you compete with that, right? How do you compete with players' attention? I mean, COD, unfortunately, bombed. So, but there's still Battlefield out there. I mean, it's just insane. So you need to have a really niche but excellent offering for people to kind of resonate and come back and create that community that we've kind of been building over the years. So yeah, there's a lot of different steps involved in catering to the Web2 crowd, but it starts, if you can make it super simple for everybody listening, it really starts with the game first and the product first, and that is never going to change regardless of what happens around us.
Yeah, look, man, that was so alpha packed that I don't know where I could like rewind to, but let's see how well I do this. But okay, first let's start with this agency that you're working with. I would
Yeah.
love for you to give us some insights of some of the stuff that's been revealed, especially from being a Web3 game, right? And what do I mean by that? You just ended it with tech is just tech, underlying tech to gaming. And tech has always been the underlying thing to gaming. Like, I
Mhm.
think that's just one thing people keep forgetting, right? Because we constantly like, we should be Web3 gaming, we should be crypto. And I'm like, no, you don't. Like, that audience is small, let alone like that audience there itself. Unfortunately, right, the space is a very monetary heavy space, and like there, you need to be able to figure out how to grow, be a business, produce revenue, and keep the studio alive. And and
Exactly.
and I think that like with the that agency that you're working with, I'm sure a lot of revelations have come up about maybe what you guys have been doing, and some of the things that you guys are like, oh yeah, we probably shouldn't put Web3 or crypto or blockchain, or we shouldn't be like so heavy lenient into it. Like, because man, you start thinking about all the tech that games have, like outside of just blockchain, like, and I'm sure you as well. You start realizing, well, maybe we should start like the cloud, like we should like talk about like, and it's like, now you don't really want to do that, right? It's the game
Yeah.
first. The game has to sell itself first.
Yeah. Exactly. And you could say the same with AI. We we were influenced a little bit by AI for sure at a certain point, like, creating AI characters in the game, having them run on the cloud. Everything is kind of, the cloud is run by an AI, so everything is kind of autonomous that way. Um, but it's still kind of R&D. Like, nothing has been really proven, and same thing with Web3. It's very few games have had the success, commercial success, like off the grid, sure, but I mean, nothing is super rosy, glowy all the time. Then, I mean, they have their own struggles. Every game have their own struggles. Even big traditional games can't, they missed the launch. I'll refer back to Black Ops 7, but anyway, it's just one of those things, man. Gaming is hard, and it's become even harder in 2025 with all these studio shutdowns. I mean, just locally here, I think Eidos just thanked a bunch of people. At the same time, it's good time to hire, cheap labor, really good people that you can get for less than. But it sucks as a whole, as the industry, to see the gaming industry, suffer like that. But what we did learn, to answer your question for Brighter, um, it's funny because I was watching all the videos for the focus groups, and the way they did it, it was so professional. They sent us all these videos, and you could just sit and watch all these people. Just, there was a moderator, and then just asking questions. What you think about this segment of the game? What you guys think about this? And then one topic was, how'd you guys feel about the name of the Nefties? Did you guys realize it was like part of the it means kind of NFTs, but in a cute way, right? And then half the group was like, "Yeah, I knew that, but it didn't bother me." But there was a few people that were like, "What? What? You mean Nefties meant NFTs? Oh my god! If you'd have told me that, I would have never played this game." They were like super like angry and emotional about it. It's like, what? But this is kind of the reality. A lot of people, I've had that happen a lot of times at GDC as well. Traditional gamers, or like the pure breed, will shit on Web3 gaming. Not shit, I wouldn't say that, but they have this really negative vision of what blockchain is. And that's the reality that we're living in, and that's it's not the only reason why we decided to kind of make the shift of renaming all the Nefties to Amigos, and the Seekers of Tokane to like Amigo Legends. Yes, they had like a lot of Web3 connotations, and they were very catered to that crowd. But it's always like a pure business decision as well. After just looking at the numbers of gamers, and it's really so difficult to gauge the amount of active wallets you would have in the game to really gauge the amount of real users that you have, because anybody can just create multiple wallets, and then you need to integrate some safety kind of mechanisms and systems to make sure that there's no cheating. So multiple accounts can need to be banned. You need a whole bunch of system that way to make sure that there's a quality of life for the ones that do want to play the game like in a normal way. So the whole pivot to from Web 2 to Web 3, or accommodating Web 2 and Web 3 for us, like it started, like, I think back in 2023 when we announced that we would support both. It's always been, we pivoted really quickly when we saw, like, okay, we're not going to hit the numbers just in Web 3. The people in Web 3 are awesome. They're super passionate. Uh, but they're not going to be the ones kind of helping us reach, critical mass. They'll be great ambassadors, but their motivations are super far away from the typical gamer motivations of just wanting to unwind and be entertained and just, do the motivations couldn't be further apart. But we're also very conscious of the fact that we wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Solana and the whole Web3 market. So we have a responsibility at the same time to make sure that we can find that balance of Web 2 and Web 3, and ultimately that, like, if I can break it down into everything, that is really the essence of the whole challenge at Web 3, is finding how can you offer a product that fits and hits all the points for the traditional gamers that just want to unwind, bond with their creatures, do some questing and then just call it a night. And then the Web3 that want to maybe invest, be maybe a merchant that will hoard a bunch of amigos and then be able to sell them through our player-driven marketplace. There's going to be different ways that you can approach it, but at the end of the day, you need to be able to cater to both, especially since we all come from Web3 gaming. Nobody's going to reach, unless you do like some of these trading games, really simple trading games that that can fit to the really Web3 crowd, like we've seen in the past, like the coin flip and all that. Fine, but those are casino games, and we're not building casino games necessarily, right? So for us, it's always been about, with our background and expertise, we'd be doing a disservice to focus on casino games. So that's where we're really coming in with our expertise of building immersive worlds that we can tell a story with, and then building the creatures. Honestly, from the Brighter's study, the amigos really were the top two. The world that we created was the number one thing that drew people in, and then the amigos and the way that you can bond with them, and the way all of the different varieties of amigos really was the number two factor. So we're doubling down on that, really making sure that players will have the time of their lives, fetching, finding, exploring, getting amigos, training them, unlocking stuff, bonding with them, so it's gonna be a blast when we're done with it.
Man, like a couple things, that you kind of, for me, like hit home, right? As a marketer, as a Web2 guy who spent most of my life, looking at business plans and go-to-market strategies and like financial analysis. It's like, hey man, finding your roadmap and understanding your roadmap is the most important thing. And I think for me, like how I look at certain things, or starting to see like Web3 has been something outside of gaming. Let's just zoom out for a second. The decentralization, meaning the crowdfunding, the funding, everything that has happened within Web3 has been something innovative, right? Different ways to not only pay, all that stuff. And then when I look at gaming, I think that message almost got lost a little bit with what Web3 was, because I think Web3 gaming could very much still be alive and still, but it should still be that ethos of, hey, this is where game founders like Aurory, like anybody else, wants to launch, get funded correctly, and build out their product for the audience that product is for. And that's saying that the Web3 gaming audience is not, that's not that for. Therefore, the essence of where we are here, blockchain can help you get going with the idea into the product, into delivery, but it doesn't have to be something where you just can't only live here. And I think, like, as we are seeing, especially like on Solana, the breakthrough with, Western Union, everything else that's happening, right? My God, like, you're just starting to see now the evolution of it and realizing it's the tech, and then like, cool, this was the home. We are the home. Great. But, it's not something that we have to scream everybody to, like, hey, that's our home, like we just know where exactly the roots begin.
Yeah,
And
I
so,
always kind of compare the chains to like game engines, because to me, like, that makes the most sense. But you're not going to see, like, I'll take Arc Raiders. I don't know what their engine is like, but they're not going to be promoting their game and say, "Look, we built on this engine," or like nobody gives a shit. Like people want to feel something, they want to see and go through the experience and feel the journey that the developers want to bring them in. So it's the same thing with the chains. Like yes, it's fine. We're on Solana, it's great, but at the same time, like the game needs to stand on its own and it needs to hit the marks so that the players feel like they're getting something out of it, right? And it's essentially the same. Like we're building a game, but essentially it's a product like any other product. There's a certain value that you need to hit, and for games, like really depends on the gamer, but a lot of it comes down to the player experience, and obviously blockchain adds a huge layer of just not only player experience and having fun in the game, but you can get extra value out of it. Like I said earlier, if you want to sell all your skins, or if you want to sell certain amigos that you don't like, you can definitely do that through our player driven marketplace. So that though is something that would be more challenging to do on the traditional side. And I was talking about the web 2 and web 3, the balance between the two. We call them restricted version and unrestricted internally. But for example, if we take Android, iOS, Epic Game Store, and even Steam, like all the distribution platform that are mainly used nowadays, they all have different criterias and different requirements for your game to live on there. So iOS, for example, they're really not that fond of having tokens and having sales via tokens. You need to be able to use their native currency. So it's a touchy subject. They're not yet ready. So it goes back saying to like the critical mass and the mass adoption is not going to really happen until we make it easier for the mom and pops to actually get on and start playing. But it's not going to be easier if they have to create a wallet first and remember that seed phrase. I mean, give me a break. Who wants to do that? It's the first thing when you get into Web3 is getting that wallet. And I'll tell you a little story. Whenever I do hirings in the team, I always ask them, "How are you comfortable with crypto? Like, do you know crypto? Do you have a wallet?" I would say 3 out of 5, maybe 4 out of 5. They're like, "Nah, I don't have a wallet. I know Bitcoin, but that's it." Like, really, we're still so early, and a lot of people like us, we've been in this, like I've been in this Web3 space for since 2021, not that long, but for Web3 it could be long. It could be ages, but for the majority, they're just watching the headlines of Bitcoin going up, or Solana having some ETFs and Ethereum, but that's it. They're not really interested in that much more into, because they haven't really had a reason to. And it all comes down to the products that we're offering as a whole ecosystem, right? There's some cool products on Solana, don't get me wrong. um, I'm talking more about the gaming segment type of experience. But that'll come, I think, with the time, and as the chain kind of mature and the different teams kind of mature as well and go through the cycles, I think we'll start seeing a lot more interesting games. But it's not like, it's funny, we have to make a distinction between Web 2 games and Web 3 games, right? But I mean, at the end of the day, I think there's a school of thought there that games are games. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter if it's Web 2 or Web 3. It's really more the experience that you're giving it. But like you said, we've started out selling the tech, and look how cool it is. I think just because we were in the little bubble and everybody was just making money back then, and everything was blowing up, everything was green, everything. Oh my God, look at this, and now we're kind of back to reality a little bit, and we've seen it since the past few years. A lot of people, a lot of studios have shut down, and is it good or bad? It sucks. It does suck, but at the same time, the ones that do stay, you'll definitely see some gems popping up here and there, because those are the ones that were there for the right reasons, right? For their own communities and their own products and their own vision. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, man, it's like that's it, right? Like we say bear and bull markets, like they shake people out, they bring tourists in, blah blah blah. Blah. But like on a builder's perspective, like I think for those that came into Web3 gaming, yes, we saw a quick hype and run, But I think that for the ones that really truly understood it, knew that, hey, it's going to be 3 or 4 or 5 years of actual building, right? And I think that's something like Aurory really excited about, because yeah, you guys have been just straight up building, and it hasn't like ignored the noise. And I think that just comes, of course, the experience that you guys bring in, like the experience that you guys have. You know that, like, hey man, like tunnel vision, man. Don't listen to
Mm.
the space. Sure, watch it, hear it, whatever, but just, if Telegram games come tomorrow, we're not going to make a Telegram game. If AI games come out tomorrow, we're not making an AI game.
We talked about it. We can talk about it for sure, but yeah,
You
whether
know?
we execute, that's another thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just one of those things. But look,
Yeah.
man, pretty cool updates. We had a pretty cool video that we just showed. I think
Yeah.
let me start off with this one. Maybe walk us through this one real quick.
Yeah. So this is a little sneak peek of what we want and what we want to take the gaming experience in a way that kind of tells a story and brings you along more on a personal level. So this is kind of more of a polished realization pass that we did at the beginning of the game, when you find a little note to be able to go to the village and start your journey there. So that's kind of like the first 5 minutes of the game, but it just goes to show, like, those little moments do matter in the grand player journey, in the grand scheme of things. It's those little things that will take your game from a decent game to, like, okay, that's a really polished game. But it takes time, and those kind of things are also super important, that we take the time, because it shows. It'll show at the end of the day. Players will appreciate that. And then this one, this one is our rebrand reveal. A lot of the footage that you see here are also part of the kind of this. Yeah, this is Helios roasting his marshmallow with the Professor Korlek. Professor Korlek is the one that's going to give you your compass in order to start navigating the different lands. So everything needs to be kind of exposed to the players in a way that's realistic, understandable, easy to grasp, and that's kind of like the onboarding process. That's super important to get people started on the right track. Like, we call it onboarding. First, in the traditional game, for big games like Far Cry or Assassin's Creed, the first hour is everything, because you want to really make a big impact. You really want to control everything that happens within the first hour, the beats, when players see certain things, the boss fights, so that you get a good impression after the first hour, and then you want to just keep going. I think for our game, we're not building a Far Cry or an Assassin's Creed. It's not that huge. I would say the first 30 minutes is super important. It needs to be polished in a way that players can see themselves playing, and they're not faced with like just frustrations off the get-go. So it's all like these little things that will kind of help players along in their journey.
I think, man, really excited for like just the next evolution. And man, it's like I almost need to pick your brain more, right? Like, it's going through my head is like, man, I really need to set up more calls with Johnny. But I'll tell you this, in Abu Dhabi, man, let me tell you, son, I'm going to make sure that I'm like your personal assistant. I'm going to walk around and just listen to you the whole time while I'm out there. I'm going to record content while we're out there. Just hey, man, the insights from Johnny on building games in Web3 and exactly how you're supposed to build. So it's been really cool. All right.
Appreciate that. Attend the keynote. We'll do a keynote actually at the breakpoint. So you'll be able to record some footage.
give me the like rundown or roadmap that this all kind of evolves to. So like we kind of understand what to look for. How do we support? How do we get involved? Like, what is it that we need to start grinding as a player already?
It's funny because we just we had an event for Halloween, and it just kind of stimulated the community a little bit, because they've been super patient. We've had multiple delays, unfortunately, because the Brighter initiative was a big endeavor that we wanted to make sure we took into account before releasing anything else, and that kind of drove our timeline in our planning as well for the next few quarters, I would say. What players need to start grinding is essentially getting acquainted with the different abilities for their amigos. It's something that will be super important in the future. You want to be sure that you gather as many of them, understand their dynamics, the elements, right? Different elements will have different impacts on other elements. So very important that you understand that logic. Um, but I wouldn't say anything else because another alpha here, the game will drastically change from what is currently live. I mean, it's night and day versus what you guys are playing right now. So I wouldn't call it a brand new game, but it's kind of close to it. We're keeping the same kind of core essence, but we're leaning a lot more on the storytelling, really handcrafted versus more of the procedural, I would say, approach that we had. That was one of the biggest revelations, I would say. Not necessarily from Brighter, but in the last year, we worked tirelessly on this procedural tech that would generate these levels, automatically, and it would never be the same map. Essentially, the downside to having a procedural tech is the fact that everything kind of looks the same, and it doesn't have that kind of immersion that we were looking for, and achieving that immersion was too demanding in terms of it went in the opposite direction of what procedural was supposed to do, essentially. So we had a huge meeting and we thought about that a long time. And essentially, our lead tech engineer came back, and the one that actually designed the whole procedural technology, and he's like, I think it would be best if we pivoted, because there's only a certain limit to what this procedural tech can do. And what you guys want sounds more like we need to go more on the handcrafted side of things. But that's part of game dev, and it's a lot of things that people don't talk about, when they pivot, why they pivot, what maybe didn't work out, because everything needs to be good on the surface. No, we know what we're doing, right? We're professionals. but being professionals is also like learning to fail fast and pivot quickly, and not be too attached to what your ideas, because
But
yeah,
but I kind of want to like contradict you almost in the sense in a
sure,
good way, right?
yeah,
Like I think what you're saying and the way of pivoting makes complete sense. But because we're in Web3, that makes absolutely no sense. Because in Web3, pivoting means, hey, tomorrow we're gonna go build a DeFi protocol, and then the next day we're gonna go build, some sort of deep pin, hey,
right,
and so like the way that you were mentioning pivoting within the game makes complete sense, and in Web 2 makes complete sense because hey man, you are doing what's right by the game for it to develop. But in
yeah,
Web 3 they won't understand that, and they might be
no.
like, oh my god, he's pivoting, another game, it's pivoting. It's like, you know what I mean, that word pivot
Yeah,
in Web
I
3 is
see what
just
you mean. Let's use another word then. Let's use iterating. We've iterated a lot, and that's all game dev is all about. It's like iteration after iteration, and essentially that's what we came down to. And unfortunately, it took kind of hit on our timeline. That's why the delays kind of go full circle here. The delays that we announced to our communities because of that decision and that realization that we had. But it takes some kind of mature team to be able to come to that realization without feeling like super deflated and demotivated, because it was a hard decision internally. I mean, working on something for over a year, thinking that this is going to hit, and then realizing after playing it, maybe it's not. Like, if I can suggest anything to anybody watching here, I think don't wait too long to get to a playable prototype in order to really get the feeling for it. Unfortunately, because the tech was so huge for us, I think we waited a bit too long. But yeah, for anybody out there building games, speed is the name of the game until you're almost certain that you have 90% of your design and your intentions nailed down. Otherwise, you're just going to keep iterating and going through that circle. And it could be a vicious cycle until you kind of realize, and it could be too late by the time you realize it.
Yeah.
But yes, we're not pivoting necessarily. We're just iterating.
Breaking news: Aurory's pivoting too. Anyways, Johnny, man, always a pleasure talking to you. I know that we're way over time, but hey,
Are
look,
we? I thought it was an hour. No, are we already
I
over? Oh
usually
shit!
do it 30 to 40 minutes, and I always like be
All right,
conscious of it
gotcha,
because,
gotcha.
hey, but I mean, like, I always like, it's one of those things. If the conversation's good, like, just keep going, right? Like, it's always great to hear, and these perspectives are something like I tell people all the time. Like, one of the beauties of building in Web3 is what other space do you get to hear a founder, a builder tell their story, and
Mm,
like tell the story to be able to understand what that founder or builder's going through, but as somebody else that wants to build or like be a founder, like what do they need to do, like,
yeah,
because there is no playbook, there is no like right and wrong, and being in an emerging market like crypto and web3 blockchain, like, man, it's bubbles that keep blowing up, bubbles
yeah.
that come up, and like that one pops, and it's like, hey, okay, what's the next thing? And it's
Hmm.
like, man, it's definitely like I tell people, like, coming into the space, man, I always say, like, make sure you're like mentally ready for it, like,
Yeah,
because it is challenging. Like, people don't talk about the challenge here, but it's challenging to be here. Like,
yeah.
it's easy to be a keyboard warrior as well. Like, like, fud this game or fud this that, man. All these things. So I tell people, like, it's one of those things. Find mentors, find advisors, find the right people that understand it, understand how to build, understand who you're working to, the audience. What's the most important thing? Product sells anything. And if
Mhm.
you don't understand how to market that and what you're going to market to, like, man, we're going to be a million miles ahead of time. But
Oh yeah.
Abu Dhabi's around the corner. Give us the 411, the alpha. What do we need to like prepare for? What do we need to work for? What's happening in Abu Dhabi? What can you share? What can't you share? Whatever you can't share, just share it, and we won't tell anyone.
Get your treasure hunting skills refined and sharpened, because we will have a little treasure hunt. We will have a special statue in the venue. I can't say what it is yet, but it's massive. It's freaking taller than Rafi, who anybody knows about Rafi in our project. He's like 7 feet tall. But yeah, we'll be announcing a keynote, and we have a special reveal happening at Breakpoint this year, so you definitely don't want to miss it.
So notifications on, Breakpoint live streams. Don't miss them. I'll be creating content. I will be there. I will give the breaking news. I'll give the people what they want, since you're not giving us what the people want, right? So I will be down there, guys. Don't worry. Once I see the statue, once I get the alpha, once I get like all the notes, I will reveal it. I will showcase it. I'll give the people what they want.
We'll do a little interview there live at the booth or something.
Maybe some tournaments, man.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll have it built there.
Like,
Definitely tournaments.
whoever wins or whoever loses pays for dinner, man.
Yeah.
And I know in Abu Dhabi it's not cheap, and I'm not a cheap date, so just be prepared.
Likewise. All right. It was great to
But
see you. All right.
yeah, man. Thanks for giving us that roadmap. Thanks for giving us what's happening in Abu Dhabi. Love the insights of the research that you guys are doing, and just really excited for the next iteration of the game. Right, the next phase of what's coming.
Oh
I
yeah.
think that's something cool. Maybe end it with us with the next iteration of the game being on Steam or Epic and all these kind of discoverability platforms that you just mentioned before.
Mhm.
What would it be, one message that you really want to send to anybody that's looking to get involved or is involved in gaming, especially like looking to right now, first time hearing Aurory and hearing what's happening. What's that one message that you could want to send to them?
About the game that we're building, you mean? I would
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
like, if you like creature collecting games that are around like a Japanese RPG theme, you'll definitely fit in with what we're building. We're putting a spin on your traditional Pokemon essentially recipe, because we all love Pokemon, but they've been kind of lazy with their own recipes. We love you, Pokemon, don't worry. And it's always kind of the same recipe year after year. And we took it upon ourselves to kind of reinvent the recipe a little bit. Some love it, others not so much, like I said earlier on the stream. but we're doubling down on it because we're having personally like a lot of fun in the dev team, playing PvP, or just a blitz. So if you love little cute creatures, you love exploring, you love that Japanese style aesthetics, definitely check out Amigo Legends. It'll be available right now. It's available on Aurory, on Aurory.io. You'll get on the Epic Game Store, and then it's also on Android and iOS.
Man, hit the notifications, hit the likes, go on there, make sure you don't miss out. FOMO is the worst thing, especially in this space. So you're getting the alpha here. It's that simple. It's so easy. All you got to do is click a button. Donnie, I'll see you in Abu Dhabi. 14 days.
14 days, buddy.
You better be ready.
Oh yeah, we will.
All right, man.